that I'm so passionate about when I have the opportunity to talk about it. So we'll try and make it very engaging. It's a workshop, so it's not going to be just presenting and asking questions. But we will make it practical. We will try to go online and experience some of the tools that many organizations are using to collaborate, to be agile, and to deliver solutions for their customers and for their businesses. So that will be our focus. So let me just run it through the content. For some of us who may be new, I don't think anyone here is completely new to Agile. From day one of this conference, we've been hearing about the word Agile a number of times. For some, that word is a buzzword. If you just pick your phone and search for Agile, you have tons of information about Agile. A lot of information. Then people are confused. So what really is Agile? So we'll just have some facts. These are not half-truths, no, but they are facts. Truths about Agile that we need to know. So that when we are doing our research on Agile, these facts will guide our search. We'll look at the manifesto, which has a number of values, and then we'll look at the principles that the values provide, so that any organization that wants to be agile can adapt. We'll look at some popular frameworks. Some of them you may have heard, you know them already. We have heard some of them in our conference, even yesterday and then today. Then we'll look at the methodologies, these frameworks. We will look at a number of characteristics about each of them. What is common among all these frameworks or methodologies? What is common? What is the common thread that we can find among all these methodologies? Then we'll look at the delivery process. If you want to implement Agile in your organization, what is the process like? How do you tailor your own Agile adoption to the process? So that is the next. Then we'll look at the modeling tools. What are some of these modeling tools? And the features that they have. But before I go into the content, I want everyone to have these 3 questions at the back of their mind. Because at the end of the session, we're going to go back to the questions and see if we found answers to those questions. So what is the first question? What key aspects of Agile development can be used for digital transformation? If an organization is embarking on digital transformation, what aspects of Agile development can be leveraged to do this transformation exercise? Then, what are some of the challenges? As we go on in discussing Agile, we need to start thinking about the challenges an organization can encounter if it wants to be agile or adapt agility. Then the last one, how can organizations overcome the known challenges or the perceived challenges so that they can overcome them and be successful in their adoption of Agile? So let's look at the first one, which has to do with the facts. My slides are very few, so I'll be doing much of talking and engaging you so that you know the digestion of the food in the system, which can cause chemical reaction that will induce fatigue, causing sleep, will not be there. So if I see somebody dozing, that's the person I'll call. Yes. But don't be like Mr. Ebu. No. So, definition for Agile varies. If you Google Agile, you have several definitions. But one thing is for sure, Agile is not a methodology. So please let's keep that in mind. Agile is not a methodology. Granted, it has methodologies, right? There are methodologies called Agile methodologies, but Agile itself as a term is not a methodology. No. Agile is a philosophy. It's a mindset. It has to do with ideas. It has to do with how things should be done different from how we know it to be. So it's a philosophy, and the philosophy comes with values. Values and then principles. Now you realize that principles don't change. They are fundamental. That is what principles are. They are fundamental. And once someone understands the principles, he can build on the foundation to create his or her own methodology. I believe that is very clear. So it's a philosophy. Once you understand the philosophy, we can build one methodology called capturing methodology. Right. Like we have many, like Scrum and the rest. Now, Agile as we know it today stems from the software world. A bunch of guys, about 17 people, from the software industry, realized that the way of handling projects in the sequential way, like we are constructing a building, was not good for software development. That is what they came to realize. So in the mid-1990s, we had people who were advocating for lightweight, like paperweight ways of developing solutions faster, efficiently, and customer satisfaction. Customers need solutions now, and they are telling you that you want to give them in 6 months. That will not work. So these guys came together and they came up with what we call the Agile Manifesto, which we will discuss shortly. But as we speak today, Agile is not only adopted in the software or IT industry. People in marketing are using the philosophy. People even in construction are using the philosophy. People in business, in government are doing the same. So you realize that this philosophy is boundless. There is no bound to implementing Agile. Now, the frameworks are designed to drive 3 key things. 1, collaboration. And who collaborates? People. Collaboration, people. Transparency. There should be visibility. I don't need to be sent an email before I know the status of my project. So transparency is there. Everyone should see what is happening across the project. Then we have quality. Good quality in the system. How? As we go on, you see how quality is built into the product that is developed. Another thing I want to also have in mind about Agile as a fact is that it is not always the right answer for every organization. So don't think that Agile works in every organization or should work in every organization. So there are some organizations which have tried to adapt the Agile philosophy but didn't work in the organization. It's a fact. We need to know our organization, we need to know their culture, we need to know the structures in place, we need to know how the business runs before we think about adapting agility. Then it is not a silver bullet. What does that mean? It is not something that is going to solve all the problems. In fact, we hear people say that once you adapt agility, all our problems are solved. Is it true? It's not true. It is not true. sometimes even situations become worse when the adoption is not done right or is not done at the appropriate time. So the business then feels that this is not good for us. But it is not a problem of the philosophy, it's a problem of the what? Organization. It was not ready for adoption, it didn't do it right, may not have understood what it takes to become agile. So these are key facts. And I don't know if anyone will want to dispute any of the facts that I've mentioned. Anyone want to dispute any of them? Perhaps maybe it's half truth, not facts. Okay. So once there are no hands up, we can make progress. So this is one of the foundation blocks of Agile. Foundation block of Agile, the Agile Manifesto. Now, as you see the values, the 17 software engineers who came together to draft this manifesto, which you can find at agilemanifesto.org, said that the things on the left, to them, are more important than the things on the right. It doesn't mean that the things on the right are not necessary. They are, but there is more value in the items on the left than in the right. Okay, so the first one says individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And in our sessions from yesterday up to today, we have come to learn the need for attending to people, right? Who makes processes? Human. The processes are made for whom? For humans. Who delivers solutions? Humans. And for whom? So you realize that the core of what we deliver, what we do, is about people, individuals. So individuals and interactions, the way they interrelate among themselves, is far more important than the tools and the processes that are available. It doesn't mean that the tools and the processes are not needed, no. That's not what they are saying. But there's more value in engaging people than in what? Focusing on tools. Can you give any example of the validity of what these agile components are stating? Can you give an example? So I'm scanning through to see whom to call first. I told you that this is a workshop, so it's going to be engaging. It's not going to be one way presenting and then we are done. No. It's going to be engaging. So one person I want to ask is, can you give me an example of how you think this value makes sense to you? You can think about your business, the work that you do. Can you give me an example? In a situation that you can point that what they are saying, it has weight.
I think the earlier discussion we had here from Odelia spoke directly to the one in red in terms of individuals and people interacting with tools and technology, where a jukebox may be programmed to deliver a certain sequence of advertisement, jingle followed by the presenter, and yet there are breaks. And I think somebody complained that they hear breaks in the system. And I think that's where we see the human and the people and processes overriding technology, because ultimately it will be, to your point, the people who will program these technologies, who will build and deliver for humans to use. But ultimately, I think that trumps over the technology, the people and the individuals and interactions trumps over the tech.
Thank you very much. In fact, like I said, Madam was asking about whether my books are available. Anyone who answers questions will get one of the books.
I want to give the example of a project, a normal project. So you come up with your framework, your log frame, you have your activities, your critical path, and analysis and everything. And then you haven't looked at the people that you are going to implement the project with. And so they are not aware of it. So if you focus on your processes and tools, and you do not look at your stakeholders to get them to buy into the project, you will not be successful.
Thank you very much. So we have Excel, we have Google Drive, or whatever it is. You have made those things available, but you have not trained the people. Can they use it? Will you get results? So you have the tools. If you want to send me a report, go and do A, B, C, D. But I don't know how to use it. So the people come first before they what? The processes and the tools. Now let's look at working software over comprehensive documentation. We need documentation. For every project, there's the need for documentation. Business case, other things are necessary that we need to use as artifacts. But Agile is saying that we need the what? The solution to the problem first. Just imagine you happen to be in the hospital in emergency. And they say that here, before we attend to you, you have to go and fill a form, go here, see this person, ensure that your card is ready before you are attended to. And you are in emergency. How would you feel? Would you want to go through the process first, or you want to be attended to first? Which one would you prefer? It's very obvious, right? So if we are thinking about customers, customers, do they need the process or the documentation much? What they need most is the what? The solution to their problems. That's what they need. So the focus should be on ensuring that we deliver the solution to the customer than to focus on so much documentation. Please, let's take note again. Documentation is what? Necessary. So please we don't want to get it wrong that we don't need that. I think I saw a hand there.
I was going to argue that if you eliminate documentation, what are you evaluating the solution against? That you are actually working you're flying blind.
Exactly. That is right. That is why we need sufficient documentation for the project. And remember the first one, individual interactions. If you give me 1,000 pages of a book or requirements to read, as compared to sitting with you, explaining things to me, and letting me understand the solution, which one is better? How long will it take for you to understand a 100-page document which describes something, as compared to the person sitting with you, using diagrams and other things to show you how the thing should work? And you asking questions and he explaining. And maybe you are now able to see what the person is trying to train better. You get the point? Okay, briefly.
Great. Looking at this one, Agile is powerful, but bottom line is simplification. So working software over comprehensive documentation, what Agile is telling us is make everything simple. That's all it's saying.
Thank you very much. That's it. Great. Now the third one, customer collaborations over contract negotiations. We need contracts. Businesses will have to engage other businesses and they need to enter into some form of agreement, right? So it's necessary. But if we focus so much on the contracts, it is in, it is not in, then what happens? We focus on that, and that delays delivering the solution to the customer who is going through the pain and needs a solution. So it is necessary. We need to have contracts available to, engage the parties involved. But focus should be on customer collaboration. Letting customers understand and explain what their pain points are, so that we can build solutions that meet their needs. It's very important. Then the last one, responding to change over following the plan. The system we are in now is dynamic. It is not static. So if you have a plan for 6 months and the market has changed, you still follow the plan? Then what happens? We become like Kodak or Nokia or BlackBerry, right? Things are changing. So if the system changes, then we need to adapt. That's where the adaptability comes in here. We need to adapt and respond to the what? Change. If we are not able to create a change, we have to what? Respond. It is better you create a change, but if you're not able to create it, don't sit idle, but what? Respond. And that is what many businesses have done. When COVID hits, what do? They never say that, okay, our processes are that you have to be in the branch alone before creating an account. No, they made available opportunities for people to what? Create accounts online. You are responding to the change. Okay, so now we have seen the manifesto, which has 4 values. Now, there are 12 principles that underpin this philosophy. And central among the 12 is satisfying the what? The customer. The customer is the focus. Satisfying the customer is the focus. So what is the customer's pain point? Then you build projects around motivated individuals. How do you motivate people? So it means it's about time for us to know what motivates people. Because what motivates Mr. A may not motivate Mr. B. While somebody may be motivated by cash, another person may be motivated by being polite to the person, being kind to the person, and appreciating their work. That is what may boost that person's morale to work. Then we have face-to-face conversations. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we are limiting face-to-face as much as possible, right? But Agile would want us to sit and then talk. So I can observe your emotional expressions. I can see whether you are angry or you are not. Behind the phone, if the person is angry, you may not even see, unless you try to decipher from the tone of voice, right? But if I'm with you physically, I can read into, and it's said that some of this non-verbal communication is about 50% or more of the communication that we make, we have communications. So that's something that we want to look at. But of course, because of COVID, we can do more virtual, so that we can have that kind of face-to-face interaction. Then we have attention to technical excellence and design. So the design should not be so complex that it becomes difficult to change or to adapt. So instead of designing big bang, why don't you do in models? So that if I want to shut a model down, it will not affect other components. So that is something that we also want to look at. Technical excellence and design. Self-organizing teams. Self-organizing teams. Teams that are empowered without any command and control. They are empowered because they have the capability to deliver. So then we give them the room to deliver. Then deliver working software frequently. So don't do a big bang where we wait until some 9 months before we deliver the solution. Why don't you do it in chunks, such that every 1 month or 2, we are seeing aspects of the solution that our customers can what? Start using. Because as you see, mobile money did not come big bang. Is that what it did? No. It came, you had some features came, and then as time went on, additional features have been what? Added. And you can do transfers here and there. Then we have welcoming change, changing requirements, even late in the project. Even when we are late, if the market changes, we should quickly what? Change. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Very simple. We don't use documents to indicate progress. What is working is what determines what? Progress. Not documentation. Working software. Is it working? What are the features? Are they working? That is what determines progress. There is simplicity. We can't overemphasize simplicity. We're talking about maintaining a constant pace. When engineers are overworked, what happens? Quality is compromised. Sometimes. True? Because you are tired and you are coding, by the time you realize you are coding something else. So maintain a constant pace. Reflect on how to become more effective. So do retrospective. What worked? What didn't work? Can we change it? What should we do going forward so that we can become better? So that also is there. Reflect on how to become more effective. So reflection is very important. Business people and developers must work together. Usually the user of the solution is remote, and then the people who are developing the system are also somewhere else. So what happens? You deliver the solution where you implement it, and that's not what we wanted. So what happens? Wasted time and money. So let's look at some methodologies, very popular ones. There are many. In fact, as I'm speaking now, we have so many, I cannot even give the number of methodologies that are built on the Agile philosophy. But these are popular ones that many organizations are using. In Ghana here, we have heard from Joy FM, they are using what? Scrum. They have gone for training in Scrum. I've been in East Africa, Rwanda, and many of the banks are also using Scrum. And over here in Ghana, some of the banks are also using Scrum. But that's the most popular Agile methodology. It's a bit easier to adapt. Then we have Crystal, we have Kanban, XP, DSDM, FBD, and then IOP. I want to run quickly. Now, what are the common strengths among all these methodologies? One, they are iterative. Iterative means that you do the requirements gathering, the designing, the implementation, the testing in cycles. And the cycles are short, maximum 1 month, 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So 4 weeks is not documentation you are presenting. You are presenting what? Solution that is working, tested, and it's working. In fact, we've done this with Static Bank, and it works. Give the requirements. Within 2 weeks, we deliver the solution, tested, and it's being used in pilot. Works. So 4 weeks, we deliver. If there are any changes that we need to make, we make the changes and quickly move on. So iterative. Then we have incremental, and in every iteration, you are adding on. If there are any bugs or say issues, you fix them in an iteration. Then self-organizing, I've already explained self-organizing, teams that are capable of delivering and they are trusted to do so and empowered to work. Then we have the emergency. What does it mean to say Agile is emergent? You don't predetermine the tools and the techniques to use. You don't predetermine that. So you tailor every project with the necessary tools and techniques to use. And if things change, that's what? Adapt. That's what you want to look at. So as you go on the project, you see what is necessary to use or what you can do to make improvement. So these are the things that, so based on this, we can build our own Agile methodology. We can actually implement one that works and fits our organization. You may want to adapt Scrum or XP, but may not fit your organization. So why don't you understand the philosophy and then look at what can work within the organization and adapt that. So this is the process. You have set up a sprint, or we'll say an iteration, which the sprint zero will be about trying to do we'll say the initiation of the project. So all those procurement and other discussions will come on in a sprint zero. Then we have our release planning. So we want to project, okay, so 6 months from now, what are the milestones? So we would want to deliver this number of features by so and so time. So we do the release planning. Now the release planning could be 3 months to 6 months. 3 months to 6 months. What do you want to see the solution to be? Then in the sprint planning, for every, if your sprint is 2 weeks or it's 1 month, for every 2 weeks or 1 month, what do we want to deliver for that particular period, which we call the iteration or the sprint? What do we want to deliver within that period? So you do that. Then your sprint review, at the end of the sprint, the 2 weeks, show and tell. What has been delivered? Does it work as per the criteria that was given earlier? If it's not working, why? You don't bring something that's not working to show. If you know it's not working, you don't bring it. You make sure it works before it is what? Got to the stakeholders for and then we have a retrospective. The team will have to sit and say, the way we delivered, did it work? What were the challenges that we faced? What do we do next in the next sprint or iteration so that we can be better at what we do? Then you can have the other things also going on there. So that's how, and this cycle keeps repeating. It keeps repeating until we are done the what? With what we want to develop. So these are some of the popular tools. Please pick your phones and go to the site. I shorten the site so that everyone can quickly access and then see a number of tools that are online. They are collaborative tools. They are tools that whatever device you have, you can access it. Because as we speak today, if I have Microsoft Project on my laptop, which hosts my project information, my colleague, my stakeholders, my boss doesn't have access to it. But these tools are available online. So even if you are in the washroom and you want to check the status of the project, with a click you can see, oh, Emmanuel is delaying on the what? On the particular task. You can see it quickly. So these are some of the popular agile tools being used today. Stamvik, I know, if anyone works in Stamvik here, uses Jira a lot. Some of them are using Jira for their issue tracking. So all the issues, even though it's not only for issue tracking, you can actually also adapt it for issue tracking. And as I said, it's a collaborative tool. Changes that are made automatically, you get notifications going to all the appropriate stakeholders. So let's go through the various tools, look at the features. So this one is one. Sorry. That thing is one. The Agile is, so it's one, not L. This one as you see here. Yes, it's one, so please. Sorry about that. It's one. So if you click it, I'll button there. So you can see some of the tools, right? And you see Jira is the most popular among them. I have used UTrack, very effective in managing projects in an agile way. You have dashboards, so if you have multiple projects, you can combine all of them into this UTrack, and a manager can just have a scan of the status of all the projects in the organization. Know the status of each of them in graph, whatever you want to see. UTrack can model it for you. If you want to see it in a Kanban board to see the status of each of the projects, you can just do that. Fortunately, UTrack, you can have a free version with only about 2 users or 3. So if a project is just 2 or 3 people, then you can run a free version. You can run a free version. But if it requires additional people, then that becomes a business for them. You are supposed to pay. That's how it is. Okay. So I think my time is up, and we want to answer the questions, right? Okay. So the workshop, the focus of the workshop is to identify what Agile provides that we can use in what? Digital transformation. So we have talked about Agile a lot, and we have already heard about Agile transformation, digital transformation. Remember, for me, I see digital transformation as a journey. Why? Even if you change today by employing ERP system, you will come to a version. You will have a version. In some 5 years, the vendor will tell you that you are supposed to what? Upgrade. And does upgrade stop? When does upgrade end? So when will the transformation end? That is it. So transformation for me doesn't have an end. We have to keep what? Transforming every now and then. There's no end for me. That is for me. Maybe for somebody, there's an end to transformation. But for me, I don't think there's any end to transformation. In especially the IT business, no. Okay. So based on what we have discussed so far, what key aspects of agile development can be used for digital transformation? What did you learn about agile that we can employ in digital transformation? Who's going first? Okay. In fact, this is my senior in school.
Thank you. I think there's a lot to learn from Agile, but with regards to digital transformation, it's a step-by-step approach. So once we look to transform digitally, we have to be thinking of moving step by step. They use the term sprint. And remember yesterday in my presentation, I talked about the reps, how to push in project management into an organization. You still have to use that agile mindset. You go step by step, so that's something I learned from Agile.
Very great. So it's not a big bang approach. Iterative. Look at what we can do now. Fix it. Then next, then we continue like that. So iteratively solve what is pertinent now, and then the other ones we look at how we can deal with them. Right? So that's good. Thank you very much. One more for you. What are some challenges to adapting popular agile tools in digital transformation? You want to go and get a tool like Jira or U-Track or ClickUp or something else. What are the challenges? What do you think or what do you foresee as a challenge in digital transformation using some of these tools? What do you think? Yes, my sister at the back.
So one challenge I think you can foresee is maybe your team not being familiar with what you're trying to bring on board. So they'll be a little bit resistant to it, or they may just shy away from it.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting challenge. It is real. In fact, when the network makes a change, how do you personally feel? That we are going to have a downtime and you are not happy about it, right? Change is not easy to adapt. So that's the key challenge. They may not be familiar, they may be wondering what are the challenges that I'm personally going to face. What are the uncertainties with this new way of doing things? So that can be a big challenge. The fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown. Okay, any other challenge that you can think of? Any other challenge you can think of? Any other challenge that we can face if we are trying to use some of these tools? Yes, madam, please. Sogakope.
I think sometimes you can get, there'll be the challenge of getting management or the sponsors agreement to invest in the tools.
Exactly the case. Thank you. So management support. If the management says that we don't need a tool, what happens? That's a showstopper. No show, right? That's a very big challenge. So these are real challenges that can happen when we are trying to adapt. Yes, at my left side.
What I foresee is we have many tools, and the decision to settle on the best tool to fit the purpose. I think is the challenge.
Thank you very much. That's very true. So will you have the time to be able to explore all these tools to know which one will work for your organization? Maybe not. That's true. So we'll come to the resolution, how we can resolve some of these challenges. Yes. Amankwanor, a remark.
I think sometimes to sometimes the users all over themselves. You can have your staff members deciding that they are not ready to use it. You can do all your training and everything and you'll still reject change.
That is true. Change resistance, right? Yeah, that's real. The last question. Oh, sorry, was there any other one? Please, at the back.
So you said it also that it cannot be applied to all the digital endeavors. So it's limited or restricted in a particular way.
Exactly. That's also true. It's at the back. That will be the last one.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think mine is about the independence of the various teams, because a key element here is that they should be independent and they should be able to launch and do what they're supposed to do. So if that is not achieved, then that will be a showstopper for the achievement of whatever sprint that the team may be in.
So thank you very much. You're looking at the empowerment of the team. That's what we're talking about. Yes. That's another challenge. If the team has come up with they have actually discussed and then they say that we want to go for this, which will work for us. The management says that no, we want you to go for this. You are not giving them that empowerment to work their way out. So that also can be a challenge anyway. So how then do we overcome these challenges so that we can have fluidity in adapting Agile and the tools to make our digital transformation a reality? How do we overcome the challenge? So we can take any of the challenges that we heard of and then see how best we can deal with them. For example, we have resistance to change. Yes.
I wanted to talk about one challenge. One critical challenge I foresee has to do with sustainability. Most of the time we are quick to embrace the new technology, but we are not able to really sustain them and maintain them. And to overcome that, we need to really emphasize on continuous improvement. Okay, you don't just implement the technology, but continue to try and improve upon it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's very true. So reevaluate to see whether even what you are taking on is adding value. Sometimes you adapt a solution and it doesn't add value, whether it becomes a bottleneck for the organization. That's true. So the reevaluation is very good. Okay, let's come. Yeah, I think we need to be fast. Okay, let's quickly run this, and then the last one, then we'll be
I think we talked about capacity. Training will solve that problem. So the first thing is to basically train the people, build their capacity, and my friend talked about sustainability. Super, sustainability is utility. Utility is usefulness. If the system is useful, getting results, obviously people will jump on it. But if it's not actually yielding any results, they will discard it. So you need to find a way of measuring results. So I always say this: if you introduce something new, you have to basically build M&E into it. And this is not implementation-focused M&E, results-based M&E. So as we go, we need to be measuring the results and also communicating the results.
Thank you very much for that. Last one. Then we are done for the session.
All right, so I think that before we invest in tools, we must involve the team to define the problem so that we can select the appropriate tool together with the team to get their buy-in so that when we get a tool, we can use it.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's very important. Collaboration is very key in Agile. Collaboration. We don't want to down things on the team, but collaboratively we want to look at what is best for the organization and for our customer. And the customer here can be internal customers or what? So then we should not focus on only the external customers, but also our internal customers. Thank you very much for listening in.